Great, good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. Can we all please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, under my announcements, I wanted to announce that, and I'm gonna, how do you pronounce Ray's last name? Began. Raymond Began's retirement from the Highway Department after 22 years of service as a driver and operator. So congratulations to Raymond, and wish him the best with his retirement. And is there anybody here for anything that's not currently posted on our agenda? Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Mozinski, 60 Oak Street. Some of you, I hope, know about this because I've sent several memos out, but I have spent a lot of time in the past week monitoring the Blue Wave Solar development at 45 Oak Street. The situation is awful. There have been 2 complete failures of their erosion control into Lake Manchog, into the pond. The entire cove is brown. It has traveled under the dam into Stevens Pond. There's a plume. There are pictures everywhere. This is awful. My family was at the Conservation Commission last night. I urge you all to watch that proceeding. It was really disturbing to me. I asked several times, who is in charge of this project at the town level? And nobody at the Conservation Commission could give me a response to that. And these folks, the contractors, they had an erosion control problem on Monday the 11th. They were allowed to fix it, and on the 18th, yesterday, it was a massive quote-unquote blowout again. So I want to urge you to pay really deep attention to this problem, because Manchog Pond, half of it is in Douglas. And that is a serious, serious erosion problem and contamination of that body of water. Campgrounds, swimming, recreation, big amount of economic dollars coming in through that body of water. Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, 45 Oak Street, there's a site walk, and I urge you all to attend, because we cannot let this go on anymore. The grades, the exposure, and if we get another rainstorm or the snow piles up, the erosion's going to be bad again. And it's particularly because it travels onto the abutting property, which in part is owned by my family, and there is silt that is fanned out through the woods on its way to Manchog Pond. So I would still like an answer. I know Ken, the building inspector, I guess, has the ability to shut this down, but I want to know who is in charge and who's going to do something about this at the town level. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Last night at the conservation meeting, I attended it so I could watch, and Brandon Panoff, the conservation agent that we have, had acknowledged that he would be the contact person, where he's the liaison between the board, the conservation committee, and the public, I guess. So I guess that would be confirmed maybe through the administrator, as if he's actually the contact person for that. As far as, one thing I would be cautious about, Lisa, is suggesting to shut it down, because that wouldn't be productive, because it would create a bigger problem, and they have to fix it. Has to be addressed, but shutting it down would be a catastrophic step, because then there would be nothing happening to it. At whose expense would it be to try to correct it if they're not doing it? That's the only concern that I would have with it if you tried to shut it down, actually. Lisa's got her hand up.
Yes, Lisa.
No, I don't want to be misunderstood, but according to the permits, it basically mentions the building inspector.
That's through the planning board, though, correct?
I think so.
Yes.
So, but in general, all around, you know, if the planning board's doing one thing and conservation's doing another, it just doesn't seem like there's cohesion here. There doesn't seem like there's somebody, because we don't have our own town engineer, who is looking at this and being able to say, oh, maybe you shouldn't do it that way to fix this because, you know, the next week, it blows out again. I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand, is who's making the decisions, who's giving the advice so that it doesn't happen again. And that's not clear.
Would that, all the oversight, that would fall under Ken, wouldn't it?
Yes, to the extent that you want to respond to public comment, which is not advised. You started down this path, so. The building official, in one way or the other, is the enforcement official for any aspect of this, because he is the zoning official. So to the extent that a site plan review is conducted, and a special permit issued by the planning board, it's issued under the zoning code. At least site plan review is. So it falls to the building commissioner. He has been engaged in a very difficult exchange with this developer for several weeks now, for months. I want to just say these people are idiots. Maybe I should just say it. They're idiots. And I think Ken finds himself in that position of, if I shut them down, I'm stuck with the junk they've built, which isn't right. If we push them forward and say, you must follow your sequencing, the sequencing is, and they're horseheads, so they're pushing forward with something when they shouldn't be. Because the sequencing should be that all stormwater management systems should be in place and the site fully vegetated before any additional construction is done. You're not going to vegetate it now. So the work that's being done now should have been done back in the spring. I think at our last meeting, during my report, I said we have to revisit the solar bylaw because it's clear that either the calcs are being done wrong or they're not taking into consideration significant environmental factors. So the designs that are being put forward, we have more engineers on this than you can shake a stick at. The designs they're putting forward are not adequate for the task that they face in a 5-inch rainstorm, which they should be able to handle. They really should. Ken and I went up there yesterday after the rain finished and took a lot of pictures, talked to the Lake Manchac Association person who was in behind us. They dug real deep holes and bermed them up to try to capture the water. They didn't put any fabric down. They didn't do anything to stabilize the sides of the berm. It was loose loam. As soon as it got saturated with water and it was under significant pressure at the lowest point, it breached. From my vantage point, I'd sent all of you a picture of the breach. It looked like it was 3 or 4 feet wide and about 3 or 4 feet deep, and led to the catastrophic conditions in the wetlands and Lake Manchac below. As some of you know, my interactions with the former conservation agent were precisely in this vein. Once a protected resource is damaged, you must enforce. That falls to your Conservation Commission, which you appoint. And if you feel like the Conservation Commission is not fully implementing its prerogative to enforce its regulations and protect wetlands, then you need to find people to sit on that board who will. It's just that simple. Once we get into wetlands protection and all of the things that can be put out under an order of conditions, that is for a conservation agent acting under the color of the Conservation Commission to enforce. That would not be Ken Fraser's job to do that. At the end of the day, these people are idiots. And I think we've already been burned working with this company on a different solar project in town. Felt like they weren't completely unresponsive to us. And their attitude was evident last night when they were told, you need to stabilize all of these hillsides, and what was the response? We'll take it under advisement.
Right.
That's a really arrogant, poor attitude. They should have fessed up to the fact that they caused all the damage, make promises to remediate it, and then try to get back into good standing. The rubber will hit the road when these guys want to get their connection to the grid. And the last time we fought with the solar farm over on Wallam Lake Road, this was the issue. We held up that interconnection agreement for as long as humanly possible to extract as much as we could from them. But at the end of the day, we don't have the regulatory authority to prevent that interconnection agreement from being implemented by the developer. So I think we're still working on trying to get the most teeth into the enforcement. It's a horrible situation. It's really careless, slipshod work. I can't say the name enough. Blue Wave, these Blue Wave guys from Blue Wave, we should give them a wave, send them off to the blue, because they're just not responsible. And it's terrible because here we are in this effort to find an intelligent way to build renewable resources, and the only people building these things are idiots who are going to come up, tear up the woods, and trash the place. And we just got to find better partners to work with.
Is there an opportunity to get a different solar partner to come in and take over the project?
It's all private, so,
No.
this was a deal that was made by the landowner and Blue Wave. It's not our call.
So there is effort being put into this. Everybody's very busy, so everybody's doing what they can to be part of it. So that's why I know Matt has a lot of involvement. I have a lot of conversations with him, so I know what he's doing on it. I took time to go to the meeting last night. You can ask Lisa. I didn't say one word, nothing, because that's not what I was there for. I wanted to see for myself what is actually going on, not only with the project, but how does the board conduct itself? How does our consultant conduct ourselves? Who's the people that are on the screen that we're dealing with? So then, at least if we have a conversation about it, I can tell you what I saw, right? You don't have to 100% believe what I saw, but I'm going to try to be as accurate as possible. So it's frustrating for everybody that's involved. Your land is affected by it. This board doesn't do conservation, doesn't do zoning, doesn't do planning, but now they're involved in looking at what's going on with conservation. Matt's table is pretty crowded, but now he's riding around looking at conservation sites. This is something that conservation should be taking care of, but taking a proactive approach. He took time out of his day to ride around with the building inspector, check all these issues that are going around. I'm taking time out of my day to attend this meeting to see what's going on. As frustrating it is, there is effort being put into it. Don't have any answers because it's still trying to figure it out. What's the best course of action? I talked to Matt first thing this morning. It was probably 8 o'clock. Talked to him about the meeting last night and what I heard and what I thought. I don't know what else to do with it other than to keep trying to move forward and come up with a solution.
I wasn't at the meeting, but I'm going to just ask a pretty pointed question. Was there instruction given to our conservation agent to start enforcement process regarding violations?
I don't know how deep I want to get into this conversation. I would suggest that you watch the meeting for yourself. I wasn't overly impressed when I left in the overall meeting because there was no clear, I didn't know what the plan of action was when I walked out. I had no idea. So if I'm in construction and I don't understand it, I don't know how they would have understood it. I would suggest you, like Lisa said, watch the meeting and form your own opinion, right? As far as the conservation agent, that falls under that gentleman over there. He'll take care of it. If he has confidence in the person moving forward, then we're going to continue that way. If he chooses that he's not the right person, I have full confidence that he'll replace that with somebody else. Probably not what you want to hear, but I have to trust his judgment at this point, because I don't think
No, I'm gonna watch the meeting, Mr. Chairman. As you know, I'm not wired this way. So there's a problem, let's fix it. That meeting was a perfectly good vehicle for them to say, not to set up a site walk. What are you gonna go see? You're gonna go see a flood site 6 days after the flood happened. Be decisive. Go get yourself a tractor-trailer load of fabric and stabilize that hillside. And if you need straw or wattles or some of those netting that they use with the seeds in it, which will grow in the winter if you're just careful how you lay it down, where you put it, get them some sunshine. But don't just let the site sit there.
Right.
It's just going to be more and more damage. Every little sprinkle is going to make it run more. And then one of the pictures, actually, was a small video that I sent the select board last night. You can see the different grades, right? So you see the water, that tannish, I call it cappuccino, running out from underneath. Then you've got about this much of a thick layer of darker material on top of it, which you only have to assume is the former loam from the field and whatever humus and other things are on top of where it was wooded. And all the way at the top, there's a peak, which is a really good way to channel water to go down a hillside and give it some velocity. So clearly, they have work they need to do, they should be ordered to do. It is within the authority of these agencies to order it. More than it's in my authority, it's in their authority. So people just have to get used to being enforcement officials, step up, and make somebody spend some money. Not our problem. They violated their plan, so they need to fix it now. Crimea River, it's not about being business friendly or not. These people violated every plan that they submitted to us. So all we do is harm the people who do a good job, or shun them, or scare them away, because we tolerate this foolishness from, should I say it again, these idiots
Yeah.
who are basically out there playing in the sandbox, wrecking the place.
Lisa, could you put this as an agenda item for follow-up at the next meeting? And then I ask the rest of the board to watch the Concom video and come back with thoughts and ideas?
And go to the site visit if you can.
Yep.
Yeah, it
Well, I'm
will
going to be
too
there,
late.
I'll be there.
It'll be too late, but.
I'll be there at 8 o'clock myself.
Still,
I
it's
plan on attending. If there's going to be more than 3 of us there, we need to let Lisa know
It's not too late to.
right away, because it's going to be in violation of open meeting law.
What's the date for the?
The 8th.
The 8th.
No, this Saturday,
Saturday,
23rd,
Yeah, I'll be there.
at 8 o'clock. You're going to show?
Yeah, I plan to be there, so.
Could you post that, please?
You got a follow-up, Lisa?
I just wanted to say thank you for those of you who are putting an effort into this, because it is frustrating and we have a lot of educating to do.
Well, it's like Matt says, it's not the way he's wired to do things. There's a problem, let's fix it. And I'm not wired that way either, to sit there and be very passive, but I have to take a different approach to this. I can't go like a bull in a china shop, right? We're all trying to figure out the answer to this thing. And it's what Matt just said. You have a job to do, you're accountable to do it. Just like everybody sitting at this table, it's the same thing at their table. You signed up for the job, you need to do your job. I'm not going to criticize them and say they are doing it or not doing it or anything like that. I encourage people to watch the meeting, and they can form their own opinions. I know what mine is, Matt knows what mine is, we had that conversation this morning.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing this to our attention, Lisa. Okay. Is there anybody else with anything that's not currently posted on the agenda? Or do you have anything else other than this part? No? All right. Seeing as none, I'm going to go into the public hearing for the poll petition on 159 Wallem Lake Road and possible votes. We have to have it anyway, Matt already discussed this.
No, you have to have Zoom on.
What? You have to have Zoom on, you don't have to have.
You don't have to have.
Oh, you don't have to have the hearing, all right. I
Zoom is on because
misunderstood you.
if it's on the agenda, you have to have it operating.
All right, so we're going to cancel the public hearing as there's no representation from National Grid due to the 12/18/23 storm and workload. It's been rescheduled to Tuesday, January 2nd, 2023 at 7 PM.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And if you can keep your little packet for Lisa, she won't have to kill another tree.
I'm not gonna. Okay, second agenda item is the Capital Cannabis Drive-Up Revote from 12/5 meeting and possible votes. And Teresa, you're here.
How are you? All good, so everybody tonight?
What's that?
What's that?
You're just voting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I don't even think that we need to take a vote on it.
So you kind of caught us by surprise last time, and you were walking out, and I'm like, wait a minute, it wasn't even on the agenda. So first of all, it has to be on the agenda for us to vote on them, typically. But since then, had a little bit of time to think about it, and very typical with planning, zoning, if something comes before zoning board that's going to be on planning, then we just acknowledge there's no opposition to it, is typically how we do it. You don't vote in support of it because that's for somebody else to vote for. So like, your drive-through is a planning board issue. So we don't vote for that, but we would, if we had no opposition, we would acknowledge that and send it along to the planning board, is typically how we would handle it.
All righty.
Well, I'm just explaining how it's normally done. You don't normally vote in
support of something.
for something because that's done by another body.
So we can just put forward on the record that
You
at
can-
this time
you
we
can have
have no
Lisa-
opposition.
Lisa would send a memo to the planning board that if in fact that everybody agrees there's no opposition to the potential drive-in, drive-through, or however it's referenced.
I haven't figured it out either.
Excuse me?
I haven't figured it out either.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why I
but
say
that's typically,
drive-through.
how it's done, because it's just the proper way to do it.
I just know
So-
that it can't go to the planning unless I bring it to you first. And then no opposition, we move.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't think you're correct in that. I think the planning board, unless you're, what's that, an adjustment to the,
The missing piece here, Teresa, is where are the CCC regulations on drive-throughs?
The CCC regulations are, they won't even entertain it until I have a full plan in place approved by
Do
the
they have
town.
a set of regulations in place?
They have temporary provisions right now, but it only pertains to medical, not recreational. And there was nothing on their agenda stating that they're looking towards recreational for a drive-through.
It's on a case-by-case basis, but you have to bring it before them with full town approval before they'll even entertain looking at it. So it's the infantile steps of it right now.
Yeah. So I think what you're looking for is for this board to take that vote, no opposition.
Yes.
Go to the planning board, and as a technical matter, because that would be a special permit from the zoning board, right? That was,
no, the planning board handles the drive-throughs now. We
that was changed by
Yep.
town meeting. So, and then you would get your permit, and I assume from there, you're going to do that case-by-case basis? You're
That's
go
gonna
to
be
CCC
presented,
with the
yep.
petition.
Yeah, which would make sense. She would get her permit for the drive-through, and then she wouldn't be able to use it because of
No.
her type of business. She'd have to get approval.
Well, I think once
From them to use it.
CCC gives you the thumbs up, I would still like to amend the HCA
Yeah.
so that there's an agreement between you and the town. But at that point, you would have gone through the full permitting process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So unless nobody has any opposition, we just have Lisa send a memo. I don't even think there's a vote. And typically, there's no vote when we do it on the zoning board or the planning board.
Except that I think the wording is important.
Okay.
I think you should say there is no opposition to a drive-through for medical marijuana. And that you would enter, no, that's not what you originally. No, just go with what you were going to say.
I think we just leave it real, we don't have any opposition to, and it's just a simple memo that goes from Lisa to, well, from the board to the planning. They're not even going to read the memo, but if you could just,
Yeah.
is there anybody have any opposition?
No opposition.
Do you have any opposition? No. You don't have any?
No.
All right, so then could you draft up a memo and forward it to the planning board? Or, did you already apply to the planning board?
No, I can't do anything until
Okay,
I
so-
go to you first.
She won't forward that until you actually put in an application,
Okay.
because it's going to go nowhere. It's going to be a memo to nothing. So, once you do that, then you could ask Lisa to forward the memo.
I'm ready to go. Just
Well,
want to follow the steps.
once you have the application, and then
Yes.
you,
What I'm saying is everything,
Yep.
all the pieces in
Yep.
place to do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys, thank you. Have a wonderful night. Merry Christmas, that's absolutely right.
Okay, on to the Highway Department Ridge Trail grading and possible votes. So, and then there's follow-ups on this under other items.
Didn't we add to this
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna do that under,
all the way down?
Yeah,
Oh, are you going to do it there?
because it was added after the fact with the other areas.
I just received it this morning.
So can we pass over this until the 48 hours and add this to that, or you want it separate? Do it separate, keep it cleaner,
probably
I
be
guess.
cleaner if we had
Yeah.
it separate, do this, and then we could jump down to open session and just get them all done.
So I would make a motion to allow the highway department to grade Ridge Trail, grade and backblade Ridge Trail 2 more times
Second.
per year, it says.
The bylaw allows it twice. I think this would be above and beyond.
Well, they've already done it 5 times, he
Yep.
says.
So you need to just tell them they can go back and do it again.
So you'd want a motion to approve or allow the Highway Department to grade and backblade Ridge Trail.
Yeah, but 1 more time, 2 more times?
Doesn't say.
Should we
It
just put
said-
it as needed?
I would say as needed.
It says the town private road states that permission from the Board of Selectmen is required for any more than 2 times per year. And they've already done it 5.
We got this one, you ready?
Do it. So move.
I would recommend a motion
Okay.
to approve the Highway Department to do grading and backblading of Ridge Trail as they deem necessary.
For eternity or for the next calendar year? Well, it makes a difference, right?
For the
So,
next fiscal year.
for the next fiscal year. You have any issue with that, Mr. Administrator? So move.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, and we are going to, if nobody objects, go to the open session topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting, because there's additional Highway Department business that needs to be addressed.
Lisa, you have the other,
She does.
It's in the-
oh, they're in here? Oh, I have to, I wasn't that
It's in
far
that
down in my
memo pack
tab.
that you had over
I
there.
wasn't that far down in my tabs, I'm sorry.
Move along in your tabs, sir.
So while you're looking for tab 11, let's just make sure we're fully apprised. Ridge Trail is a state road that, for all intents and purposes, they have abandoned and left to the town to take care of. There are Douglas taxpayers that live on that street, and the reason why that came to you is so that we could open up the street so it's at least passable for public safety. For those of you who remember, when we were going back and forth with DCR, back when we used to have a regular audience with the commissioner, we specifically identified wanting permission from the Commonwealth to repair their road. And I think we were looking for permission to actually put regrind down and stabilize it for the long term. We were concerned that because we were so close to the water, that we would need some additional permitting, and we wanted their support in that effort. Crickets. There's no reason why people should suffer the consequences of bureaucrats not being able to figure their way out of a paper bag. So that's why Ridge Trail is here. Now we have on item 11, Reed Road and Shore. I don't think it's really the full length of Shore, they may end up doing it anyway. So after my solar field tour on Oak Street and Walton Lake Road, we went over to Reed Road. I'm not entirely even sure what Adam wants to do here. It is a hodgepodge of old pavement, patches of regrind, looks like some gravel, and then just plain old dirt road. The water came down really hard, found the path of least resistance, and washed everything away that wasn't an aggregate tied together with some sort of binder. So now we have this lunar landscape with lots of ups and downs and really rigid pieces of pavement next to almost nothing. You know, an ambulance has a pretty good engine in it. It's a really light box, so it can go places that you wouldn't think it could, because it's a little bit unwieldy. I just wouldn't want to be the patient in the back of it, trying to negotiate. And it does slow things down. I think we've reached the point where it's really not a good situation for any public safety vehicle and needs to be addressed. Shore Road, that's got to be one of the biggest potholes I've ever seen in my life. So it just goes from one edge of the street to the other. It's almost a perfect round circle. It looks like it got hit by a meteorite, like it's a Crater Lake or something. And so you approach it, you really don't know how deep it is, and I think that's part of the problem. We can't afford to have our equipment bogged down in the middle of the thing if it's that deep full of water. So that's a little bit less difficult process because there's really nothing there but dirt, and it's going to get
More dirt.
pushed around, leveled over. It's not really going to compact. There is a really significant issue as you come down Birch Hill Road to the corner of Shore and Birch Hill, whereas one gentleman seems to have taken a page from the Netherlands,
Yeah.
built himself just enough of a berm, so all the water that comes down the hill and gathers in that little wetland is finding the low point at the bottom of Birch Hill Road. And yesterday, it was a rushing torrent. Came out over Birch Hill, over Shore, and down straight into Wallem Lake. And that was interesting because the water feeding that isn't coming from the solar park. So if you, with the leaves down, you can actually do this. Go up Birch Hill Road, look to your right to where the solar field is. You'll notice the grade and the pitch of the panels is away from you. There's this, another bowl that comes towards you, and as you look, you can see white water. You just see water rushing down, probably from the street crossing itself. That terrain is wet all the way to the top of the grade. So there's actually
it's all
a wetland
glacier.
on top of that whaleback.
It's all glacier till and clay there. There is no gravel.
So you actually have a bona fide wetland on top of the hill. When it fills up, it starts to run down. And that's what the situation was yesterday. The Wallem Lake Solar, while it was not perfect, it was so much better than it was when it was first built. Because all the grass is grown, grass was allowed to get tall, it's all matted down on the ground, slows the water down, and the catchment basins are working properly. So you can tell if they fill up, they come down pretty quickly. So it doesn't mean it's an ideal situation, but it is better than it was, for sure.
So it probably makes sense to make a similar motion to the last one for this one.
Is he looking, 4 more times? Yeah, I guess. I fully support backblading and grading those areas for public safety. That particular area, being on the zoning board back in 2018, a resident came in and claimed ownership of that. Do they have a responsibility to that if they own it?
You're asking me to go into the
No, I'm not.
annals of time
Okay.
to find whatever cocktail napkin a
Yeah.
certain individual might have had that looked like a bill of sale when he thought he bought the roads up there, which he was happy to own until it became time to actually start taking care of them.
Right.
And then you've, basically, I think you have a decision, I want to say it's by the land court, that says those residents own to the middle of the street.
So, all right,
And
so,
in many cases, many of them own both sides, a lot on both sides, so they would actually own the whole continuous
Whole road.
piece
Yeah.
across. This is just one of those classic problems in local government, right?
Yeah.
The whole network of private roads was built, they're tiny, they're 10, 15 feet wide, they're not maintained. Now everybody's up there building mini palaces because they got enough lots put together where they can actually build something. And it's not made to support that, it just isn't. But we take the attitude here, these are private roads, it is not the town's problem. We will only do one thing, which is
Yeah.
make sure that we can rescue you if you're in extremis.
Yeah. And that's what I had started off with, I support those efforts. Just, at some point, it's going to deflate the ownership claim.
Who wants to
Go
take a swag at it?
No, go ahead, mumble your words, and I'll say so moved again.
Mumble my word?
Yeah.
So I would recommend a motion that would grant permission from the Board of Selectmen to grade and backblade Reed Road and Shore Road as often as the Highway Department sees necessary for the remainder of the fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Okay, we're on to the financial policy second reading. Has there been any changes since the first reading?
No.
Excellent. Any changes recommended before we move past? No?
No.
The letter set. Okay, we have the Chapter 61 final reading and possible votes. And has there been any changes since the second and final reading?
Yes. You'll find them in red
Page 4.
on page 4. Yeah, page 4 was the last one that was added.
Which is a master list of chapter properties obtained from the assessor's office and updated as needed shall be maintained by all departments. Any property that is subject to change in status shall be reported to the town administrator's office.
Red on page 3, also added from the last reading of this one, too.
That was from before. That was the previous, yeah. And then also this shall was on at the same time as the other one. So the only change from the last time was on page 4.
Anybody have any thoughts or considerations or concerns with the Chapter 61 policy?
I do not, I will just say acknowledge Lisa and make sure
You good
that,
with it, Lisa?
We are, thank you.
Excellent. Best one. Everybody appears to be happy with it. I would entertain a motion to approve the Chapter 61 policy.
So moved.
he's catching on to it. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing is none? Ross, you good?
No, all set.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we have a grant acceptance for the Council on Aging Formula Grant and possible votes. And it looks like the Council on Aging has been issued a $13,706 grant for fitness classes and programs, newsletter mailing, postage, supplies for programs, office supplies, and other operational expenses for the center. And the expenditures will be approved by the Council on Aging board members, and it was submitted by Patrice.
Patrice did mention that this is only half of the amount they usually get. They will be getting more in the next few months before the end of the fiscal.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the Council on Aging formula grant in the amount of $13,706.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and in our packet, we have license renewals for Douglas Auto and Truck Sales for a Class 2, Douglas Equipment Corp. for a Class 2, K2 Automotive for a Class 2, The Goodness Store with its Common Vic, Harry's Pizza Common Vic, Gregory's Pizza Alcohol and Common Vic, the Blackstone Valley Beagle Club, Alcohol and Yearly Entertainment, Whitensville Fish and Game, alcohol. Picket Fence, alcohol and common vic. Breezy Picnic Grounds, automatic amusement and common vic. BZ Nutrition for a common vic. The Grill on Main, alcohol and common vic. Douglas House of Pizza, common vic, and the Little Coffee Bean. And everything in their packet is there. No issues, no outstanding with any of them?
No issues. I do have 3 that have pending inspections with the fire department just due to scheduling. So I'm waiting for those reports, and that's Harry's Pizza, Douglas Auto and Truck Sales, and Douglas Equipment Corp. And business certificate renewal pending for the Little Coffee Bean. Everything else for everybody is there.
Do you want me to throw something out there as a proposed motion again, Mike? Or do you
No,
wanna
no,
do
no,
it
no,
this time?
chill, settle down.
All right.
So make a motion to approve license renewals for Douglas Auto and Truck Sales, Douglas Equipment Corporation, K2 Automotive, Goodness Store, Harry's Pizza, Gregory's Pizza, Blackstone Valley Beagle Club, Whitensville Fish and Game, Picket Fence, Breezy Picnic Grounds, BZ Nutrition, Grill on Main, Douglas House of Pizza, and the Little Coffee Bean.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Did you cover all of them on that, Mike?
Well, unless you have some more that's not on this list.
All right, I just wanted to make sure.
I kind of like one after another.
All right. So we're skipping the meeting minutes and possible votes, which brings us to the TA evaluation results. So all of the selectmen have actually gone through the evaluation process. I'm just going to kind of give the summary on it. There's been commentary that was added in. If you want, I can read them publicly, or we can just put them in your packet that you can read through. But there was nothing negative that was offered by any of the Board of Selectmen. Your overall grading score was an 86.4. Most of the comments that came through, I'm going to put Ross on the spot because I really liked his. So it says, Matt does an excellent job communicating to the Board of Selectmen. As with anyone and anybody, there is always room for improvement. I'm sorry, your handwriting is that of a serial killer, Ross. Just makes us, oh, there it goes. It just makes us strive for excellence. Great job. So overall, Matt, I think that you definitely meet all the objectives that we put in front of you. All the members that are currently sitting on the board today feel that you're doing an excellent job. Feel that you're doing a good job with communication, managing the town budget, and keeping us on task for the projects that we have that are going forward. So thank you for all of your hard work and dedication, and keep up the good work.
Well, I appreciate it. I am going to go through your individual comments. They become part of my file. I have access to my file.
Yep.
For tips. I'm appreciative of and glad for the score, because I think in the past, we had a tendency to get like 95s and 96s. Now listen, I'm a very competitive academic. I love getting A's. The trouble is, this is not an academic enterprise, right? It's not whether or not you've mastered a specific economics problem or the law or of a given area. It's, you're running an operation, and really it would be highly unusual, perhaps with the exception of COVID, to think that something went so well that it deserved superlatives. We constantly want to do our jobs better and serve the public better and keep our employee morale at its highest possible pitch. And just having that room to grow and that headroom is really important, because if you don't tell me, I don't know. You tell me I've got a 96, I got 4 points. The way I look at it, I got 6 points to throw and 4 points to gain, so it's going to be kind of hard to do a better job than that. So this is very appropriate, and I appreciate the board's efforts. It has been my objective to begin the process of evaluating all the department heads after my evaluation was done and in conjunction with it, so that we could set the budget for management level staff early in the process without a whole lot of change deeper into the spring. I have a goals list that I haven't had a chance to finalize, but I've gone through a couple of iterations with staff, and I'm hoping to have it on your next agenda. But once those goals are approved, it will backfill into the evaluation instrument, which will, for the department heads, will look a lot like the one you filled out for me. Just the weighting of the points will be different, because some people are much more public-facing, whereas others are more technical, so we can't give them the same weight for interaction with the public if that's not part of what they have to, et cetera. But that's where we are with the rest of the staff. All right, thank you.
All right. Brings us to your report, Mr. Administrator.
Mr. Chairman, it was a pleasure to be with Ray Beegan and his family today. I did have to run kind of quickly to a meeting. I got to stay through presentations from the Vice Chairman and Senator Fatman and Representative McKenna, all who had citations for Ray, 22 years of service to the town of Douglas. We appreciate very much those many hours. Sometimes you just can't pay somebody enough to operate a snowplow 20 hours in a row or even 30 hours in a row. It's just pure loyalty and dedication and a sense of purpose in your job that keeps you going, and appreciate what Ray has done.
It kicks over to muscle memory at some point.
It does, and we wish him well.
No, but there's drive there as well, as Adam, you had departed at that point, and so Adam, it was ending, it didn't last a long period of time. He told, just go home and enjoy the afternoon with your family. He refused to do it. He stayed, he said, no, we got too much work to do, so he stayed there to make sure that we got the stuff done that needs to be done. So it's just an example of the employees of this town. They're dedicated and they work very hard for everybody here.
I'm sorry, I was unable to attend.
Also this week, the Select Board in the town received the resignation, Tracy Sharkey, from her role on the Planning Board and Conservation Commission. She was chair of both of those entities and served the town for a very long time. I think she was first elected to the Planning Board and was only later took a seat on the Conservation Commission, if I have my Tracy Sharkey history correct. It certainly would not be truthful to say that, or not to acknowledge that we didn't always see eye to eye on any number of issues. But with Tracy, you always knew you were going to get a well-researched and faithfully argued argument based upon, her interpretation of the code and an actual citation to some source of authority, and not just because she said so or because she thought it was a fun game to play. Certified wetland scientist and a number of other qualifications. She's entered a phase in her career where she wants to be a public servant for a municipality. And as you know, the ethics rules really make it almost impossible for a full-time town employee to have office in another community or employment in another community, just because they can't overlap at all. And there's just times when we needed the chair to come in and sign stuff or participate in agenda meetings, and she just can't do that anymore. So I wish her well as well in her ventures. We certainly could use some good news around Christmas. You didn't think Santa dressed up at the Mass DOT, but he did. It's actually the governor put legislation through a program called the Fair Share Amendment to Chapter 90. So it was additional funds that would be allocated to communities based on our road mileage. About half of it allocated on road mileage, the other half allocated in the same rules as Chapter 90. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought we were looking at 5 digits, because that's how these secondary bills work. But no, $217,554
On top of what?
on top of our
360.
regular Chapter 90 allocation. So that's a nice little shot in the arm. I don't want to say how much roadway it'll pave, because it's not as much as people want it to be.
Puts us closer to our target number. We're still well below it, but it's a big help.
Every little bit helps, absolutely.
So we are thankful to the administration for pursuing this, and
It's a game of inches.
there has been a commitment that has continued from the Baker administration into the Healy administration to be more supportive of municipalities. And it definitely shows. At the appropriate time, which I think is probably now, I would ask that you add to your executive session a topic that was not anticipated 48 hours before the advance of this meeting. In fact, I only got notice at 2:30 this afternoon of the outcome of litigation, and I would like to brief the board on that, and any discussion we have would be sealed for as long as the appeal period and litigation continues. But I think you need to know right away.
Okay. Is that all, sir?
And that is the conclusion of my report. I wish everybody wonderful, safe holidays and good times with family. Stay away from anybody who doesn't seem to know where the road is,
And you as well.
because chances are they don't.
All right, so we're down to this wonderful time. Selectman Bowman is not here to do his
Before
motion.
we do that, on the 48 hours, you already used that section on one item. On our last meeting, we had the infamous sandwich board sign that came before us. Now, thought about this for the week, how I should address it. First, I thought I should come see the administrator. Today, I decided that it would make more sense to bring it back to this board instead of burdening the administrator with trying to entertain my thoughts. The applicant was instructed not to put the sign up and to go apply for the building permit if he chose that he wants the sign. My question is, does he have a building permit? Was it approved? And if not, the sign is up, and why? So I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but it's very disrespectful to this board to make a decision and then be ignored. So I have a problem with that.
Lisa,
Yes, sir.
could you reach out to the building department and see if he has a permit?
I will.
And if he does not have one, could you let myself, the vice chairman, as well as the town administrator know?
I really don't want to know about it. I think at this point in the game that a citation would be issued. I give him a warning that if it's going to continue to be there, the very next day he gets a citation for it. That would be my thought process on it.
Okay. You don't have to let Mike know, but I'd like to know.
You let Kevin know. Let him know twice.
You can let me know twice if you'd like to.
But there was a lot of conversation around that, and it was very clear, right? And I thought we were polite to him and gave him good instruction. Choosing to ignore us isn't the best way to get my attention.
It might be.
Well,
Because it seems to have gotten your attention.
Well, good luck with that, is all I can say.
It may not be a productive way, but it's
Oh, well,
effective.
no, it'll be effective.
All right, so, anybody want to take a swag at Tim's motion, or do you want me to throw it out there and somebody can just go, so moved?
I'll do it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Don't forget the litigation part.
The litigation have to have a title. I know what it's about.
No, it's just for the purposes.
Oh, just for the purpose litigation.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining for Police Lieutenant Gould and the Assistant Fire Chief Manning's contract, as well as litigation, and to leave executive session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Postma, aye.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Morris, aye.
Smith, aye.